No.
Zoom it up. Mate, a lot going on. I love the old, we got the tweet. I think we got the tweet, have we? Shano, you're usually first in, but
Tweet's out, mate. Good.
Tweet's out. Ladies and gents, welcome to another installment. Thanks for joining us all over the world. Welcome to Up and About Podcast. We've got something a little bit special for you this evening, something a little bit different. We're trialing, we didn't all want to get in the one room at the one time with all the 19-year-olds running around Melbourne and everything else. But so Shane and Nick have decided to be a little bit brave and join us from the one room. So Shane, Nick, welcome, boys.
Hello, world. How good. Great to be beside you, Shane. We're actually we are at 1.5 meters too. For those of you thinking that it's a bit too close, we are at 1.5. But how good is this? It's the start of the Footy Fiesta
Festival. It's going to be very, very enjoyable. There's going to be a lot of stern words spoken, I think, in the early patch over the coming days by the females and the non-football lovers in the household. But we're all very excited about it. Can't wait to get there and watching some live footy at the moment via a stolen car, so we can't talk too much about that, but very excited. Let's get into it, big barn dog.
Mate, we should probably get our tips in for that game as well, boys. So, Shane, who you tipping, mate?
Oh, Tigers by 20 at quarter time.
Yep, fantastic. Let's just skip this match. We should have probably been a little bit more on the ball with that.
Yeah. You back the Tigers in. Jack Riewold's due to hit some form, and if he gets an early goal, you expect the Tigers to go off with it.
Well, you think surely if Tigers can get a run on in the first quarter, you think they'd probably hold it out from here, boys? Is that what you're seeing?
You'd think so. I saw some of the Western Bulldogs supporters behind the goals looked a bit shell shocked, looked a bit stunned. So the Tigers to kick on, and we're happy to provide. Although some of you might be watching this live, you might tune in later. We're happy to provide some updates throughout for those who don't have access to the internet. But if you don't have access to the internet, you're probably not watching this. Cancel that.
All right, lovely.
No problems.
Shane, talk us through your outfit, mate. Is that for the festival?
Yeah, it's for the festival. Just a bit of Argyle diamonds for the fans. I think it's got a little bit of a Scandinavian touch. Those lovelies from the Finnish capital of Helsinki do enjoy the Argyle shapes. And the little bonnet, I don't know really what it is. It's sort of just a bit of a skull cap, sort of an attempt at being a little bit hardcore.
Yeah.
Not too sure if it comes off that way, but let's get there. Let's try it.
I love it, mate. It's like gangster granny kind of feels, but it's sexy at the same time. So
sexy. That's what I was going for. Thanks, mate.
Exactly. Gents, let's jump into the long bomb. Speaking about confused and all festival-like, had a couple of 19-year-olds just decided to venture into Melbourne. I don't blame them. I love the city, but come on, girls. Was it girls? I apologize if it wasn't. But long story short, a little bit of a concern, a little bit more uncertainty if this season didn't need any anymore. But obviously, Palaszczuk's I think she's marked all of Sydney CBD a hotspot now, I believe. So, boys, look, disappointing, obviously. What do you do? I mean, without going into a discussion, unless you want to, about any punishment for them. Look, you don't want to ruin their life, but at the same time, fuck me, just ruin it for everyone else. But look, uncertain grounds now. I think the Gabba definitely will be out of the race for the grand final there, Shane. You might be all over that.
1,000 to 1 last week, and I think it's just drifted a little bit out to 5,000 to 1. So it'll be a challenge. And Suncorp Stadium was always about 250 to 1 in comparison to the Gabba. They were much more favoured as a superior location. But yeah, I guess based on the agility and all the things that we have to present right now, the way that the Eagles played last week and the future of Perth, I'm sure that they'll be absolutely nailing down their borders tighter than they have before. Have a little bit more of a sniff at the Eagles because they'll be home for a long time.
That's the point. It's an absolute disgrace, and I don't care what nationality they are or what information they didn't know. Anyone who hasn't been living under a rock has been aware of what we can and can't do. And these two people have now put everything at risk. We're potentially having to go back to working at home. We're potentially looking at the mask situation that Victoria are. We've been big advocates on this podcast for the last few weeks, saying how lucky we are in Southeast Queensland. I am appalled at this, and I hope that it's the highest fine, the highest or the maximum punishment corporally. And I also would say this, that any further incidents, so if this gets where I think it will, like it's going to get big, we're going to hit 3 figures pretty quickly. It was 8 days that these girls were roaming around parts of Brisbane and Logan. If there are deaths as a result of this, and this is very serious for a podcast of this nature, they've got to be held responsible. And it's I'm appalled, because selfishly, all the things that I've been enjoying, going back to the pub infrequently for a beer, playing footy again, being able to operate at work quite normally, that's all on the line now as a result of 2 complete and utter idiots.
Can I pose one more thing just on that? Is I know that we've been this lovely Australian country of honesty and declarations of things that you've been doing. Surely by now we just say there is going to be no honesty tests. People are they're in boots of cars, they're trying to get across the border. And I don't know about you, but if you go and put a finance application in now, there will be such scrutiny on every single insert there from Neds or Sportsbet or Ladbrokes or TAB or all the other institutions that I like to frequent. Surely there's some sort of technology out there that says these people were on a flight an hour before they came on the Sydney to Brisbane run. Isn't there some sort of way that we can actually say, well, hey, these guys are coming from Melbourne. Fuck the honesty system. Let's hold these guys to account and say, you were on a trip from Victoria. Surely. It's pretty obvious. It's just oversight. It's huge.
Yeah, Nick, I think you had something to say there.
I'm really fearful that, I'm enjoying Shane's company like this, but I would say that in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be back to the 3 of us separated. That's the least. That's the least of my concerns. We've got a footy season that we're about to hit the halfway mark of, which a lot of people have worked bloody hard to get going. You've got junior sport on the cusp of returning, and kids having normality in their life, and we've been very, very fortunate here. 2 people have destroyed that, and then in the coming days, you're going to see the numbers like when Victoria started to get that rise. It's only natural. You've seen the places tonight that have been listed in terms of places that have been frequented, and it's very serious. But ultimately, that's where it sits, and the AFL should be fearful. We're on the first night of the footy fiesta, the footy extravaganza, 33 games in 20 days. The first night of it, with Queensland as a centrepiece. Queensland is on the front page of the paper around the country, taking Victoria off, not football related, which we thought it would be. It's this COVID-19 situation. So very disappointing, very sad, but footy will continue in the meantime. But yeah, I think there's bad news coming, boys.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think you boys have summed it up pretty well, so I won't give my own thoughts. But look, I'm a little bit pissed off, a little bit worried. My wife's father rather is high risk himself, and I'm on the train every morning. So cheers, girls. But look, let's get into the football. We'll try and bring the mood up a little bit. But my boys, Gold Coast Suns, in the first one against Western Bulldogs. Bulldogs just getting it done. So shout out Nate Dogg, well done, mate. But look, I think a lot to like from Gold Coast still. Rankin got a couple of highlights. It's worth pointing out he missed a tough enough shot at goal to tie the game up, but that's going to happen. The Gold Coast don't lose a game based on one young player in his 3rd game or 4th game, whatever it is now. But the positive things for myself, I felt Gold Coast showed a lot of heart, a lot of character, a lot of pressure on the ball, and they kept playing up until the final whistle. So lots of good signs there. And Western Bulldogs just managing to string quite a few games on the trot now. So, look, they look all right. Boys, where do you see Western Bulldogs? Are they, is it worth jumping on everyone else getting excited and framing them in the mix come, middle to end of September, start of that final series? Or, look, personally, I had Bulldogs a little bit above Port Adelaide, but there's still a lot to prove.
I think you're being very generous on your mate, Isaac Rankin. He didn't have one opportunity to tie the game. He had 4 chances, And I guess that I'm not saying he's got ahead of himself, but there's been a lot of positive media around him. Superstar players, doesn't matter what stage of their career. I think back to a Chris Judd at the Gabba, kicked 5 goals in one of his single-figure games, might have been his 3rd or 4th game at the Gabba against a very quality Brisbane outfit. Rankin had 4 chances in that last quarter to put the Suns in front and couldn't manage to do it. Now, tough chances, but when you get 4 of them, you want to try and nail one, Shane, don't you?
You do. Yeah, it's a fairly reasonable expectation. But the Doggies are one of those, you'd love to support them at the moment. They're freaking honest. They've gone out there and traded quite well. They haven't seen the rewards yet from Keith and Bruce, but I think throughout the forthcoming weeks where it's footy, they're a resilient mob. They've been pretty stable. And look, they're gritty. They had a bit of a pretty average match a couple of weeks ago against the big bad bustling Carlton Blues. But look, they're honest. They're hard. Bont's got to stay on the field. McRae's got to stay on the field, and that X factor from the back line, Johannesson has to stay on the field. So I think we'll go to that. We'll go more into that across all the teams, that their prime movers have to be around for the next 3 to 4 weeks, because the rest of the team will be undernourished without them.
I mentioned Tommy Liberatore. Nathan, we haven't mentioned Liver much this year, but it's funny how things move quickly. His career was over last year in terms of probably where he was at off the field. His injury to his knee, the word was that was so debilitating that he was going to find it so difficult to come back. He's playing some good footy this year. He's not racking up enormous stats, but he's just respecting the footy, being very honest, and I'm loving the way he's going about it. I'm just seeing him on the screen at the moment. I think that was him just ran past. So, in regards to your question, I think the Dogs are just starting to hit their straps. But who knows? Like this is so exciting. This next little period of time, you don't know what's going to happen. So, what do they set as a pass mark? I'm sure clubs are going to have to rotate players through, and their depth's going to be tested. That's for sure.
And that's what's really interesting, and you touched on it there, Nick, is how a coach is going to manage the players over the next few weeks. 30 games in 20 days or something, whatever it was, something stupid. But and on their day as well, I think anyone in the top 8, they can win the comp. Like literally, you have one star player go down, and anyone can win the comp, I think, at the moment. But moving on to GWS, speaking about teams that I can't tip, GWS and Richmond being 2 of them, and they both played each other last week. So GWS getting it done. Toby Green, he is a genuine superstar. He means so much to GWS. You talk about one star going down. I think it's fair to say if Toby Green were to get injured, you would write GWS's campaign off for 2020. He's unreal. He can't be understated how much he means to that team. But boys, how's Richmond going on at the moment? I know you got the live stream there. They went down in this one, but there was a lot to like about them.
They were good. Greater Western Sydney. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Toby Green is a star, a class act. 5 snags out of 10, 18 touches, plus the verbal, plus the bit of angst. The second half of the finals campaign last year, not too sure he did play the prelim, but he was, based on him missing on grand final day, they're nowhere near the team that they are when he's out there. And not just his skill and acumen and goal kicking, but just that bit of angst. They don't really have that around the Whitfields and Kelly, and Taranto's a little bit grittier. Caniglio's a little bit tougher, but he just brings that real feist, and it's exciting. He's a star. He's in the top 5 players in the comp, in my view.
There's a saying that people walk taller as a footy side when their big players are there. When I say big, I'm talking in stature. You reflect over the years, like when Jonathan Brown's playing, the side walks taller. The great man quoted, I'll quote him during the week, he said that he not comparing himself, but I think someone might have said about Brownie, but when Green is there for the Giants, they all walk taller. And this is a man who's 5'6", but he's got that arrogant strut. The chest is puffed out, and he does it the hard way. The umpires, he has to really earn his free kicks. The umpires are a bit wary of him. And as I said, 5 goals in this shortened format is the equivalent of 8. He's a star, and I don't think he has a need to roll. Like, there's this obsession with that saying, having blokes have to roll into the middle. Just keep him down there in the forward line doing his thing. He can take a contested mark, beautiful shot at goal. He's massive from. As for the Tigers, and it's interesting having it just above the just there at the moment. Where my finger's pointing, I can see how the Tigers are tracking. But they need to win. They need to win tonight. But they probably need to get some guys back into form more than a win. So it's a funny situation to say, or a funny thing to say, that would they take Lynch and Riewoldt playing well tonight and losing and starting to get some form? People are probably going, that's a ridiculous statement. But I think Richmond would take a loss if it got Riewoldt and Lynch back into form, because you're coaching back tonight. I know they got a few still down in Victoria who are not up here, but Lynch and Riewoldt have been revolting. So let's see how that plays out tonight, which we should have an update shortly.
Look, if they win tonight, they're third. So compared to where they were halfway through the season, or just beyond halfway last year, they're in a very strong position, and they've got guys down in Victoria doing their thing. Edwards, or is he back up? He's up here now, isn't he? Edwards and Meatballs.
I'm not sure, but I should say saying need to win is probably not the right thing to say when they're sitting so high. I'm saying they're more scrutinised for the side that they are. The list is they're not producing the football we thought they would, but they're still doing enough in games. But the individual players that they need to lift out of will make them such a better side. That's what they'll be looking at, I would say.
Do you think at any point, I know it's been touched on mainly by us. It's funny, I just thought it mentioning whenever we tend to bring something up, our greater journalist friends seem to jump on it a couple of weeks later. So keep an eye on that, gents. But straight kicking in the competition, like Richmond last week kicked 6-14. Now, I don't care who's out of form, who's in form. You're not going to win a game kicking 6-14. We'll get on to your boys, Shane, in a moment. But but I mean, you look down the sheet here for last week, and I'm sure if you look back into the games played this entire season, and to be fair, for the last 3 seasons, you'd probably see a lot. If you were to get the shit kicking and bring it back to the average, even, I think probably 20% of the games would have a different result. So just something worth keeping an eye on as we move forward this year. But
agreed.
Say that again.
Agreed. Absolutely, you're right.
We guys got Carlton. So Carlton got it done over North Melbourne. You wouldn't take anything from that. North Melbourne are terrible. So I do feel for them. But, Carlton, I've got a lot of time for Carlton. I've slandered them over the last 2 years. So to see them performing pretty well and, taking the game on and kicking long and backing their plays in the contest. Look, it's refreshing. You've got them, you've got Sydney, you've got Gold Coast, St Kilda as well, to be fair. These teams that are taking the game on, as we asked the players to do for us a few weeks ago, they're getting the results. And there's something to be said for just playing territorial football, kicking it long and hard to a contest, just backing your player in a one-on-one. But where have you boys got Carlton? Are they're looking all right? But can they keep that up over the next, 6 to 8 weeks at least?
They take this. They're 4-4 after 8 games, the percentage above 100. So history shows that in the past, not only have Carlton been losing games, they've been getting smashed. So that shift towards playing more competitive football was the go in the second half of last year when David Teague took over. And they've had a couple of close losses this year, and their wins have been close as well. Hence why that percentage is in the 3 figures. So if you're a Carlton supporter, you're probably happy with where they're at, being 4-4. There's some excitement that they're still alive in the season, and I think that they'll still be alive in the season in the latter stages. But I just don't. It'd be an indictment if they were to play finals. I'm not sure if we go back and see what I've said in the past episodes, but they shouldn't be playing finals. And I've already said about North Melbourne that, they would be hoping that these 2 young ladies who have just riddled Southeast Queensland with coronavirus, that they just keep travelling to all corners of the country and the competition gets shut down. That's what North Melbourne will be hoping for, because they are so bad. There's nothing to like at all about North Melbourne. A couple of mates who barrack from North Melbourne, and they don't even get excited about them coming on the telly. So in the old days, they wouldn't be on the telly because they only play the better side. So I don't know, Shane.
Yep, the Jets being chartered. I think their first stop is Hobart. So they're going to go and dwell around Bellerive and some of the local shopping centres for a while.
Not even the Tasmanian Premier doesn't want them there either.
Oh, there you go.
He does. He said
it's not because of COVID.
He said, I don't want you here just yet. I don't want you here. He came out and said that, and they said, why is that? He said, oh, yeah, because of the COVID situation. He went with that.
Both Kangaroos and Hawthorn. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Play on King Island, maybe just on the northern outskirts. But you'd be challenged to be a Carlton fan at the moment. They're winning games tight, they're losing games tight. And even late in the game on Saturday, they try to find a way to lose. It'd be incredibly frustrating. They just don't know how to put the hammer down and really take a team apart. But they're competitive, they're fun, they're playing spirited football. It's good to watch.
It's such a strange season. I don't think that'll ever get old. It just really is. But look, let's move it on to. We'll use your segue into the Hawks there, Shane. But Hawthorn, mate, they're in all sorts themselves as well. I mean, they're getting beat by Sydney, who, to their credit, they seem to have. I'm not sure whether it was a coaching call, but they've definitely seemed to have turned a corner a little bit and just made that little bit of a tweak in how they play the game. But I've got no answers for Hawthorn. A lot of their players out of touch. Yeah, boys, what do you do, mate? I've got no answers for Hawthorn at all. They've got enough talent, so I don't know what the story is.
It's got to happen though. It's natural attrition, Charles Darwinism. So you can't be king forever. And one of the all-time great movies, The Lion King, there came a time where Simba had to take charge, didn't he? Little Simba was there, and his old man Mufasa had reigned supreme for a while. Then there was the uncle on the side there, Scar. And Scar tried to just get Mufasa out of the way. And there was the incident with Simba. And we all know the story of The Lion King. The Elton John version, much better than the Beyonce one. But what does that mean in terms of Hawthorn? What it means is that youth needs to come through. And at the moment, they're probably a team of Mufasas that need a few more Simbas. That's the reality. Is Alistair Clarkson prepared to stick fat and bring those youngsters through, bring those Simbas through, the next Kings there at Hawthorn? I think he is. Jeff Kennett, the president, the former great Victorian Premier, has said that he is, but Jeff's renowned for changing his mind quite quickly on things. Yeah, it could be mass retirements, mass movement at the end of the year for the Hawks, but they're there at the moment. I think Clarkson's too stubborn to do anything this year. I think you'll see these 6 or 7 blokes that are 33 plus continue to play on their side. I don't think he's going to shift them on.
I think there will be the COVID excuse. The asterisk will be used conveniently by some coaches and by some recruitment guys to say, oh, look, that was a tough season. We didn't get together. We didn't glue as much as we should. I think that's going to be a bit of a cop-out. But, all right, Nico, so using your Lion King analogy, so you've got Sam Mitchell, who's waiting in the wings, who's the obvious replacement. You've got Kennett, you've got Clarkson, two pretty stubborn, pretty vocal, pretty very, very resilient types. Who's Scar? Who's Mufasa out of the two head honchos there at the Hawks?
Kennett looks a bit like Scar. I think. Well, it's you've taken my Lion King analogy and put it in a great post. Kennedy is Scar, Mufasa is Clarkson, and Simba is definitely Sam Mitchell. Sam is going to be the next coach of the Hawthorn Football Club, and I think that the nature of COVID would say Clarkson might say he'll see out his contract, and then Mitchell will come in, and it'll be a far more harmonious setup than the Malthouse Buckley setup. I think Clarkson's contracted for another couple of years. I can't see much movement coaching wise at the end of this year based on this situation. Like you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to judge because you don't have the board. You know, you're away from your footy club, so the board aren't there actually witnessing to have. They're getting hearsay. They're not actually going down to training and seeing what's going on. So,
Barn Dog. Sorry, mate. Back to you, Barn Dog. Hapley, you got $1 million next year. Hapley or Green? Who do you go at hardest?
Green.
Oh, okay. All right.
Want to think about it?
No. All right.
No.
That was
No.
a different question.
Now-
Okay. I won't ask questions. You leave it to you, mate. No
No.
problem.
I appreciate it, mate. It was cute. But no, Papley, I enjoyed Papley's performance, and I think it was a performance.
It was.
I'm a big fan of, shall we call it, aggressive confidence on the football field. If you can back it up, then I love the spectacle. So he would have put a few people offside, but I quite enjoyed it myself. What was your take on Tommy's day out?
Loved it.
There's nothing wrong with putting people offside if it puts your team in the best position. And I love Tommy Papley.
The competitor.
And you know what? Imagine Carlton. Would Carlton have won a few more of those close games if Tommy made his way to Carlton? Absolutely, they would have. So you can see why there's value there. Linking a little bit out there, did you see during the week that Jack Martin is one of the highest paid players in the competition under the age of 25?
1.5?
I could not believe that.
That's fascinating.
I couldn't believe that. Anyway, so former Gold Coast son.
It makes sense. It makes sense, not from a performance standpoint. Look, my take on Jack Martin was always similar to Charlie Cameron in the sense that I always said both of them will be as good as they choose to be. They've got all the talent in the world, all the potential in the world. Charlie's obviously hit the ground running. He had a big preseason. He come back looking fit as a fiddle. Look, Jack Martin's of a similar, cut of cloth or whatever the bloody saying.
He's not a seven-figure player. He's not $1 million player. He might,
yeah.
But I think that might be front loaded for the fact that I think the Gold Coast were going to look at redraft, like when they couldn't get the trade done.
Yeah,
he had to put money on his head, and then if you put money on your head, it used to be in the old days you could put money on your head, then cut a deal after. But if the money's on your head, you've got to get paid that. So Carlton took the risk, and there wouldn't be too many on big coin there. Paddy might be taking a bit of coin, and then would Paddy be getting more money than Jack?
No way.
He's not,
No
because Paddy's under 25. So Jack Martin's getting paid more money than Patrick Cripps, the next captain of the club and one of the best players in the comp.
It's that, but that's. I think this is the start, mate. This is how most sporting codes are going to be. They're going to take educated guesses, or said another way, they're going to gamble on the young talent coming through. Right. They're going to have to pay overs to bring them from another club. That's the future of the game.
Joe Danaher is going to be perfect over the summer. He's out to pasture. He's looking after himself. He's looking at 2021.
You heard it first. I said he'll never play for Essendon ever again.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you did say that. Yeah, but in terms of the injury, but this is going to be an O'Meara style situation where he just replenishes himself. He shops himself around for many, many months, and get your checkbooks out, guys.
And I agree, but the Danaher thing, it just annoys me a little bit, because how can you demand big money when you haven't played, half a season in quite some time? But mate, any thoughts on where he might go?
Well, I'll say no. Have a look at the Swans. Buddy Franklin, you won't see him this year. Injured / lifestyle. You've got Sam Reid, injured. So there's two big key forwards they both get injured consistently. So you're going to bring in another big forward who gets injured consistently. That is an enormous risk.
It's Hollywood though. They need him up there.
They don't need Hollywood. They've got Buddy Franklin.
Yeah, but he won't be. I don't know whether he'll go on. I don't know. I just have a question mark. I think that I think he'll want to go interstate, and the fact that the family's from New South Wales, I think it's a nice connection there. But he's just going to shop him around. He's going to be a mercenary. He'll find a way to get the most money that he can, which is fair enough. He's a young bloke this is pretty much the only thing. Listen to his press conferences. He's not going to do a whole lot more than this. So get into it, earn as much as you can, and I think Sydney might be the ones with the biggest checkbook.
We move to Port Adelaide and Kilda.
Yes.
Because boy, oh boy, wowee, Shane.
Shane, I'll let you take over this one, brother.
Yeah, all right.
You just get into it.
Can we let Shane do a monologue and I just do this?
Let's do it. Shane, front and centre, brother.
Okay. So they 5-day break. Okay. Have never won at Adelaide Oval. Haven't beat Port Adelaide for, I think it was 8 years, 2011. When they were a good side, we were a good side. But Football Park back in the day, down at the Western Lakes or wherever it was, shithole. So went down there and put on the most complete performance I've seen from this team for probably 4 years. Tim Membry will win the goal of the year. I don't care what you say. You can give him a Toyota Corolla, a Camry, a Yaris, whatever is going these days, whatever the prize is for the performance. But the fact that all of our recruits, our targeted recruits, came in, played well, played their role, offered something a bit different to what we've dished up in the past couple of years. I'm excited. Big Max King taking a big clunk near the end. He's going to have to be worked, but he's in a team where as long as he brings it to ground, he's going to be a very worthwhile member up forward. Jack Steele is a star. He's tagging. He's taking the best players out, but he's also nailing and getting a lot of touches. One of the most important players going around in the competition right now. So not getting ahead of myself because we're likely to go out there and put in a dismal performance against those mighty Swans on Saturday afternoon. But overall, really happy. Kick last 5 goals of the game, silence the local crowd. Get around them. They're exciting. Nathan.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I was going to say, here's a question, mate. Before we get into that, did you see the breathing exercises? I thought that was very interesting. Do you have any insights on that one?
I do some of those things in quiet time with Shane, and it's good. It levels you. It brings you back. It makes you think about pleasant things and big fluffy white clouds. So absolutely, whatever's going to get them to sort of break that concentration span to then refocus on the next 25 minutes of effort, get around it.
Yeah, well, it obviously worked. I think, look, the game was in the balance up until Westhoff took a great grab in the defensive 50 and then just kindly nice little chip pass to you boys. And
Big Butler. Oh, yeah. What a treat on a silver platter. It was lovely.
And from there, mate, it was game over. But look, well done. I think, as you pointed out, look, I don't even want to call it a test. Like I was going to say, you got a test this week. You don't. You should annihilate Sydney. I don't know why,
Don't say it.
Did anyone else? And I shouldn't say this, but I like how Port Adelaide play, and I like some of their younger players coming through. But I've still got a little bit of heartbreak from beating the Lions in that grand final. But
was one of the great. That was a great day. That was a great
for you.
day.
But did anyone else enjoy Port Adelaide getting beat, or was that just me?
I don't have a hatred for Port Adelaide. I just was a bit confused. They did a little bit of teal on that jumper, and I've spoken about it before. They're black, white, and teal. But I would say this: one thing on St Kilda. I mean, two things on St Kilda. Banging on about Dan Butler. Another couple of goals, Shane. He's worth his weight in gold. He's only about 65 kilos too. The highest ranking Port Adelaide player was Ollie Wines with 67 champion data points or dream team points, or whatever it might be. That has to be low. So they only had one player in the top 10 ranked players on the ground. That is very unusual considering the game was pretty close up until the 5-minute mark of the last quarter. And a bit of a shout out, the COVID-19 situation in the hubs has claimed a Collingwood premiership player who ventured to St Kilda. And from the way St Kilda spoke about him during the week, he's had an enormous influence on that football club in Nathan Brown. So it's probably the last we've seen of him. So for his Collingwood contribution, he was an absolute star. Down in defence in our glory years and had some great battles with the Saints, and then went to St Kilda. And from all reports, from what the St Kilda boys are saying, he's lifted their culture, taking it to another level. So well done, Nathan Brown. It's probably all she wrote for his career, but what a great career. Absolutely got the best out of himself, Shane.
Very true. Very true. Here. Thanks, Nicky.
All right, guys, let's move on to so the second greatest score of the round, I think fair to say, West Coast Eagles flying high down at Optus there, but not surprising for anyone. Look, if timing always comes into play, and footy's a very, very, very strange game, as you boys know more than myself. But if West Coast were to win it again, like Jesus Christ, it's all falling into their favour. So can't win away from home. Kills everyone at home. So if the grand final is played at Optus and they happen to make it, then look, they're in some good stead. But your boys, Nick, we'll bring you in a moment. But Collingwood.
Monologue, mate?
No, he doesn't want a monologue. He'll have a little spray in a moment, but it's just much of the same, unfortunately, with the Pies. Struggled to play attacking football after the first quarter. So all this talk about being such a great defensive side, didn't do too well this week. So Nick, mate, what are your thoughts on how the Pies are travelling? That being said, let me just quickly, before I just totally destroy them. They're allowed an off game. Everyone's allowed an off game. There's a lot of factors at play here. So, are you concerned, or do you just put it off as a bit of an off day and quickly move on?
No, I'm concerned. I'm concerned for a number of reasons, but let's just try and water the concerns down. 18 goals, 3. West Coast kicked. 18 goals, 3. They were kicking goals
from everywhere
out of their behind. I was like, if he kicks this, I'm turning it off. I said it 4 times. So eventually I did turn it off because you could just see where it was going. The turning point for me, Collingwood were terrible. Bucks has come out and said it's an outlier. I thought outlier, is he referring to Jordan Ngoe's bullshit stories he's told over the years? But no, it's an outlier. I've actually lost where I was going with that because I was referring to Jordan De Goey. But go back on the point, 18 goals, 3. Like in where football's being played at the moment, that 18 goals, 3 is probably, put it back to say 10 goals, 11 goals, 10. It's still a win to West Coast, but you won't see kicking like, they're not going to kick like that all the time. Nor are Collingwood going to have the captain of the football club exit the field 5 seconds before the coin toss. Like, that was enormous for us, and you see Taylor Adams skipping the side for the first time. So that was the first time Scotty Pendery's missed a game since 2018. So there's a number of those little factors that you can throw in. We get Steel side bottom back this week, which is exciting, but you've got to put that one, just put it in the back pocket, leave it. Maybe review it at a later date when we go on a trot of 5 in a row or something like that and say, hey boys, let's just show this for a leveler. But West Coast looked extraordinarily good. And a big shout out to the Western Australian goal umpire who managed to call a review of a kick from 45 metres away. He says, I think the ball's touched. I'm going to call it behind. So it's gone through for a goal. Everyone celebrates. West Coast players don't appeal for a touch. He calls, I think it was touched. When they review it using cameras, which you can find at your local primary school, and they said, well, we have to go with the goal umpires. Nothing was conclusive, so you've got to go with the goal umpire's call. It's a point. At that point in time, you could say, was it a turning point? Well, as a Collingwood supporter, you will. So to the goal umpire, good on to you, champ. You got a bit of airtime, a little bit of me time by clicking the button on your hip and saying, can I have a look at that? From 45 metres out, go away.
I think they need to ease up on the Pies. The fact that Pendlebury, Sidebottom, De Goey, Howe,
Mullane, Monkhurst, Francis, Hanson,
Harisa Larkis. There's
Johnny Hassel.
Yeah, there's quite a few that are missing. So you take that sort of calibre out of any team right now, and they're putting in similar performances. So they were ambushed by a pretty hungry mob. Tim Kelly played beautifully. Josh Kennedy, just anyone that was talking about him, retirement plans, and
the response, though, isn't it, Nathan? It's the response. So many times in life, as men, we've all made mistakes, and you can apologise. That's a word, isn't it? So Collingwood can do all the talking they want. The response is this week against Freo. That's the response. So let's see how they apply themselves to a side that's on the improve. Let's hope the conditions are better than what Freo had over the weekend.
We might skip the Lions in Melbourne, just because it was a cool little segue into Geelong Fremantle. So you say Fremantle's in the up. I know it was just terrible conditions for all the players. They did well. It wasn't much of a spectacle, but I was going to ask you about Geelong boys. So 48, Fremantle kicking 16 in the end. So you wouldn't take much from this game. It was pissing down rain the whole time. But Geelong have a few players. The little master's got to come back. I'm still bullish on Geelong personally. A few people are writing them off, but mate, I'm still bullish on them. I think if they manage their players correctly, then they could definitely come home with a wet sail back end. So, Shane, where are you sitting with Geelong?
Yeah, look, they were excellent, and I think the fact is that they're getting, and there's been an undervaluation of their second tier midfielders, the Guthries, the Duncans, the Menegolas, these guys who they'd be A-listers at most other clubs. They'd be absolutely first pick. They'd be taking the Selwoods and able to sort of roll and Dangerfield. So they were excellent. And look, it was certainly a game for the bigger bodies, and it was rough and tumble. But Selwood would have added to that. But Hawkins kicked his gentle 3. They're a good side. And the fact that we all hope that Gary is enthusiastic about football and wants to play in the second half of the year. Obviously, Selwood's going to be focusing a lot on his body and getting it right. That's going to be a blessing in a way. After there's 4 to 5 weeks of sheer punishment on the body, if they can come in afterwards, add that little bit of spark towards the end, it might offer something different to what they've experienced, where they've limped into the previous finals campaigns, a little bit sore, a little bit overdone. It might give them that little bit of spark.
Geelong a third with 5 wins. If anyone's writing Geelong off, they're kidding themselves. But I want to mention Tom Hawkins, who's got a terrible tribunal record. Belts a bloke, gets suspended, appeals it, and gets off. That is as rare as hen's teeth. That is that someone with a record like Big Tommy's gets off on an appeal. But we did miss. I'll merge another one here. We missed the Adelaide Essendon game. I tipped the Crows. It was a 3-point sneaking in by the Dons. So what I will say is, where you said, are we writing Geelong off? We're writing Essendon off. Is where we're writing Essendon off.
Yeah.
They've got a game in hand.
They're average.
They've won 5 games as well, but we might have got a little bit too cock-a-hoot about them. I'm writing Essendon off. So officially, at the round 8 mark, clubs that I've absolutely put a line through. So if you're writing this down at home, we've said clubs that we don't really give 2 hoots about from here on in. Adelaide, this is in no order. Adelaide, North Melbourne. I'm still saying Sydney, and Collingwood play Sydney up here in a couple of weeks, which we'll be going live to, and Essendon. They're my clubs. I'm saying just queue in the rack. Don't worry about it. For a number of on and off field issues.
What about Hawthorn?
No, Mufasa. You can never rule them out.
They're not that bad. They've still got a lot of quality across the mids. They've still got experience forward and back. They'll catch someone on the fly. The fact they smashed Richmond at the start of the year, and they smashed the Lions. And these guys are probably 2 of the top 3 premiership favourites. They're not that bad. They're playing a pretty average, disheartened style of footy at the moment.
I'm a little bit, mate. I'll shave you 4 down to 3. I'll go Adelaide, North Melbourne, and Freo. I'm not sure why you haven't got Freo on that list.
No, because Collingwood play Fremantle this week, and I couldn't handle the backlash if Freo get the Pies. But I'm saying Sydney. Sydney are gone. They're gone. They've got how much money sitting on the sidelines? Buddy Franklin probably hasn't watched 1 minute of football from Sydney this week.
What do you reckon he's been doing, Dico?
I would reckon he might have been. Well, it's winter, so he'd be near the white stuff, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Down the slopes.
Down at Threadbow or Perisher or something like that. Did Jacinta's show, is that still on? The morning, watch it on the morning show or the daily break or something like that?
I'm sure. Is it like the living room?
Yeah, one of those types of shows.
Good.
Sydney, line through them. If Budvardo comes back, I might renege, but I'm saying they're gone.
You won't come back. No. He's done.
Fair enough. Let's get into the tips, gents. We'll leave this one alone, shall we? The first game, Richmond Tigers. Yeah, go on.
This will be the biggest score of the year so far. So at halftime, it's the Tigers 64 and the Doggies 23. And glad we all took the Tigers. They'll kick right on. This will be 100 plus here, as in total for the Tigers. They won't win by 100 points, but they're on track. Belgium to Belgium, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. How's Dusty playing, just quietly?
He kicked a couple of nice goals in the first half. I can give you
just 2 goals, 11 disposals, 46 Dream Team points. But Petrarca had 6 goals, 45 touches and 11 tackles and 17 hit-outs. Anyway, being silly, sorry.
Shane's just going on the narrative there that people are trying to compare Petrarca to Dusty. So in my cartoon theory, that's like comparing who's a cartoon character that's just got like a great esteem and has runs on the board. Give me something. Popeye.
I was thinking Popeye as well. Yes.
Okay. So if we're calling Dusty Popeye, Christian Petrarca is more like Huckleberry Hound.
All right.
Okay.
Goodness.
Low to the ground and stocky, Huckleberry was. Yeah. Okay.
All right. All right, boys. Melbourne, Port Adelaide. Shane, where are you putting your tip, brother?
Port. After a tough outing last week against a very high quality side, this will be a good match. Melbourne are playing a good brand. They're trying to attack. They're still struggling, but I think Port are the superior outfit.
Nick?
I'm absolutely with Shane that. Port Adelaide win comfortably, and just on my, not that we're reporting anything on the TV, which we are, but they just showed how Tom Hawkins got off on that, just throwing the elbow back and hitting someone in the face. Got off that one.
Clumsy.
Port Adelaide.
Oh, silly dapper.
What were their arguments? How'd they get him off?
Slippery and wet, I think. Wet conditions. Yeah. Anyway. Go Jordan to go, Jake, Shane.
Ooh. Sticky Fingers are a great band. Carlton versus Hawks. Nick, where do you want to put your tip?
This is near on game of the round, and I actually mean that. These are two clubs who I'm saying have the ability to be on the knock of the eight. On the knock of the eight. Carlton won't make the eight, but Hawthorn, if they get it together, they need to get it together. This is the week they need to get it together. And I'll say it the next week and the next week after that. So it's only round 9. So we're still early days, really, but it's a 17-round season. We're tick over halfway. The Hawks have to win. And Carlton don't have to win, because if they have an honourable loss, their supporters will be okay. Hawthorn, can they have another week of all this media crap?
No, I think that'll be good.
I don't want to hear the media crap. I want Hawthorn to win so we stop hearing it.
It's exhausting. Get on an under 12 points. I think this is going to be a really close clash.
In Perth too.
Over at Optus. Yeah, it'll be not exactly a grand final preview over at that esteemed stadium, but it'll be close. It'll be tight. No team will know how to win. The other team will not want to lose. So it's going to be one of those very close matches throughout the afternoon. So I'm going to go the Hawks by a very, very tight margin.
Nick, where are you putting your tip?
Hawks.
All right. Fair enough. I'm going to go Carlton with that one. I think the boys will do enough. Essendon v Lions will fly to this one. Anyone going against the Lions?
No. Lions should win. At the Gold Coast, again, I told you last week they don't play well, didn't I? And then Melbourne almost got them. So,
another night match.
Just so 8-10 Friday night. Brisbane should win. Dewey.
Yep, Lions,
just, mate, this will be a spanking and a half. Don't worry about that. But we talk about, look, I won't say too much, actually. North Melbourne versus Adelaide. I'm going to go Adelaide. We all wanted them to win last week. They didn't. This is the only, maybe Freo. No, it's Freo beat Adelaide. This is the only match that they can win for the rest of the season, I reckon. So I'm going to tip Adelaide because I would like them to get a win. Boys, where are you going?
This is a replay of the 1997 grand final. 98, sorry, Shane, because...
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, 98 grand final. And so what are we talking there, 22 years?
Yep. McLeod, North Smith.
Both of these sides that get annihilated by the teams that played back then. And I won't watch this game. And at 2:35 on Saturday, I encourage people to do something else. Don't watch this game.
It'll be tough to watch.
I'll toss a pen. North Melbourne.
And one of the advantages the AFL has at the moment, Barndog, is when they're reviewing the fixture, they can put some of these dog games back into the former prime time before night football was on vogue or in vogue.
Oh, nice. They're going to play at MCG.
I wish they'd play at Princes Park. and the camera crew don't make it. But I reckon the Cows, Adelaide Crows, I think they'll do it.
All right. I hope so. Anyone going against St Kilda?
No. Great to see the Saints fourth halfway mark of the year too, isn't it? They're in the top four, St Kilda. We haven't mentioned this man's name, but well done, Brett Ratten. Should never have been sacked from Carlton. They fell in love with the idea of Mick Malthouse. They didn't fall in love with Mick Malthouse because not many people do. They fell in love with the idea. Brett Ratten lost his job as a result. He's had a fair bit of adversity. He's worked his way back. St Kilda will shizen on the Swans. They'll win comfortably at the Gabba. Shane, you'll be there?
I will be there. I'll be very vocal. I'll be very excited, and it's the annual Pride game, so I'll be wearing my rainbow outfit.
Can we get a picture of that? Just send it to me. It's fine.
Yeah.
I would say
it's your body paint.
If it's the Pride game, I reckon Shane should go dressed as is. I think he would do quite well.
All right. West Coast v Geelong. Yeah, I've got to pick West Coast. I love Geelong, I really do. But this is an Optus, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, you got to go form, Nathan, don't you? West Coast comfortably because Collingwood belted Geelong. West Coast belted Collingwood. And that's all been happening in the last week.
The season makes sense now.
The season doesn't make any sense saying that Geelong will win. But I'll tip West Coast.
West Coast to me as well, mate.
All right, no worries. My boys, Gold Coast Suns versus GWS.
Ooh.
This is a tough one, mate. GWS are just finding some skill. They're hitting another gear. Toby Green is untouchable, not far off the player of the competition at the moment. So, fuck. I'm going to tip Suns.
A heart. Yes. Good boy.
Giants.
Giants here as well.
Yeah, Giants.
No worries. Freo Collingwood. Nick, you called it before. This would be, mate, you'd hate to lose this one, but I don't think you will. I'm tipping Collingwood. Shane?
I'm tipping Collingwood.
Nick?
Yeah, well, I'm tipping Collingwood. In saying that, I've tipped against Collingwood once this year and we won. So I'll go with Collingwood because we should never, ever, 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 ever consider Fremantle beating Collingwood. Collingwood to win. Steele side bottom to get best on the ground. He'll kick 2. Brody Maitu will kick 4, and Collingwood will probably kick, I think 11 or 12 goals will be enough to beat Freo. Keep them to 4 or 5.
In the James Age Cup.
I look forward to watching Collingwood kick 12 goals in the first 2 quarters. So, gents, let's move on to the short pass. It's been an interesting couple of days. I only found out about this COVID crap this afternoon. I've been steering away from the news because it fucks with my head, to be honest with you. So I heard it in the late this afternoon from my work colleagues. But my short pass, be careful with my words here. My short pass goes to a little bit of common sense. You know, I'm genuinely angry. I'm genuinely pissed off. I'm a bit concerned, a bit worried for what this is going to look like, you know, in 3 to 4 weeks' time. So fingers crossed, touch wood, all the cliches that will come out the other side okay, and it'll be nothing but dumb luck. But unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. So I guess my short pass, mate, it goes to everyone. It goes to all of you, goes to us. This is just a shit position to be in. We've been lucky. So let's just check in on our mates. Let's just, you know, just be there for each other, for a phone call, for a video chat, whatever else. This will end. Eventually it will end. Shane.
All right. Just a call out to, I spent a little bit of time in Logan over my journey, Logan City, the beautiful part between Brisbane and the Gold Coast with beautiful big long beaches and heavy surf. It's beautiful there. No vigilante groups. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are very frustrated and angry about 2 individuals that have recently been named in the open media. And they've got fairly distinctive names. So I urge you not to use social media or white pages. Do they still have the white pages? The pages? Good. Okay. Don't do anything silly. Let's all work together. We're a strong community. Not bad, Nick, I just realised. And anyway, so let's enjoy the footy while we've got it and be prepared for the 2-hour time delay because Perth footy from Karratha to Broome to Bunbury to Perth it's on the way.
Nick.
Well, last week, I think we got Delta up and about into the charts. I'm going to stick on that same theme. So beautiful messages from you, Nathan, regarding sticking together and looking out for each other, because we're all beautiful people, and we need to make sure everyone's happy and safe and healthy and well. And checking in is very important, as Shane said. Linking to that, you don't want people to take this where it shouldn't. We were vocal early about where things are at, and we can be angry, but we don't need to go and target people and be silly about that. So we can be angry, but don't target. So in saying all that, my short pass this week is the one thing I really am excited about once this is all dead and buried is getting back out to seeing live music. And one of the all-time greats to see live is Gr8ful. Daryl, at 71 or 72 years of age, I think he is, released a song this week, Love Songs. Do yourself a favour, as Molly Meldrum would say. Jump on the old iTunes, download it and have a listen. It's a great song. It's quite upbeat, gets you going. My short pass is Gr8ful. Go and look at his back catalogue. Youngsters, get around the Sherbet days as well. How's that? Summer Love. Cold's Play, Sherbet, Gr8ful. If you're first time tuning in or you actually value anything that's being said here, just Google Sherbet, Google Gr8ful, and you'll have hours of fun and kick back with a nice, maybe a glass of cordial or something, and happy days. Gr8ful, short pass.
Amen. All right, gents. Always a pleasure. We'll catch you back here next Wednesday. Enjoy.